You guys surprised to see me up here? So am I. I actually asked to do this. I like self-punishment, I guess. I asked to speak a message. I wasn't quite sure how I was supposed to do it, so I kind of talked to Tag and Tara a little bit and said, hey, here's what I'm feeling. Here's what God's shown me. Can I help? Tara, you've got 2 sermons coming up. Can I help with one of them, or can I do it? What do you think? And then she and I kind of landed on, I should probably say it because it's my experience. It's what God's speaking to me. And then I was going to do that next week. We were going to have all week to get together, and about 7:15 this morning, it changed to today. So it is going to be a wild ride, but your bulletins do have my notes in them that we prepared this morning at about 7:18. And then the front picture was something that had been shared on Facebook, and I sent it to her. So somewhat short history about why I am up here. So our family has experienced some pretty significant trauma, and it's not my testimony to give. It will be, it is, but it's my marriage testimony. And so that will be a testimony that I give with my husband. When he's ready to do that, it's not his testimony, it's not mine, it's ours. And so I'm not gonna get into details, but as far as what you can imagine, aside from death in a marriage, we have experienced that in the last couple years. It has been horrendous, and it's been just chaos, and people talk about their lives being shattered, and shattered kind of implies pieces. There were no pieces. This was dust, and God's really good at using dust. He created men out of dust. He created life out of dust. And that's what he's doing with my marriage and with our lives. So as I was walking through some of those harder parts, God just kept showing me different things in his word that I could apply directly to my life and immediately to my life. One of those things is what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. And it's about Lazarus being raised from the dead. And do you guys know the shortest verse in the Bible is Jesus wept? How random is that, the shortest verse in the Bible? But I truly believe, after what I've been through, that Jesus wept is the shortest verse in the Bible because he wants it to be memorable. He didn't give a long explanation about Jesus wept because of this, that. No, it's just Jesus wept. Because it doesn't matter why, and it doesn't matter when, and it doesn't matter how. He wept with the people who were weeping. And he made it, I believe, the smallest verse in the Bible so that we could retain it. So that we, in our busy life and all the chaos, we could keep that as a promise. That when we weep, he weeps. And there's hope in that. And I'll get to, there's, sadness and hope. And if you've seen, what is it, with joy and sadness? What's the movie, Kaylee? What? Inside Out. Yes, where you have to have joy with the sadness. They go together. It's that. So anyway, Jen has been amazing this morning, and she and I crammed. And can we do the video first, Jen? So we're going to watch a video about somebody else she's just incredible, and her testimony to me was really strong. She's going through the tail end of anyway, she's amazing. So Jen's going to pull up that video for us. It's a 3-minute video. Hang in there, though, because I promise it applies. It's not just a pretty lady talking.
A good counselor. You are an intuitive counselor. Yes, I need to work on that. But forgiveness? Absolutely not. I don't know how the story is going to turn out yet. I don't even think that he's sorry. I don't even think that it's going to be possible for us to reconcile. And I'm not done hurting. And also, I'm not even sure that I want to forgive. Right. And if I forgive, is that me saying that what happened didn't matter? Because does matter.
Yeah.
Or is that me betraying myself and saying I wasn't really hurt by this because I was devastated by this? And so if I forgive, doesn't that mean that at that point I'm saying it's okay? It wasn't okay. And so no, I remember looking at my counselor saying, absolutely not. I'm not going to work on forgiveness. And that's when he looked at me and said, okay, Lisa, let's just start with the pain. Let's just start with your pain. And he handed me this little stack of 3x5 cards. It actually wasn't little, it was pretty tall. And he said, just start writing how you were hurt. And just write one thing on each card and then lay the card down on the floor. Well, Sheila, I had so much hurt. So much hurt. And so finally, when I'd written the very last thing down, I really couldn't think of another thing. I looked, there were cards all over the floor. And I looked over at my counselor, and he did the best thing that someone can do when someone's hurting because of their life being shattered like mine was. And he simply looked back at me with tears in his eyes, and he said, I believe you. And it was such a gift to my heart.
I totally get that.
And he said, Lisa, what has happened to you was wrong. And it was hurtful. And I guess
So, we are going to flip to John. I tried to look this up on my phone most of this morning, and my Bible is packed. It's a long story. John 11 is where we're gonna start. But I tried to look this up on my Bible app. It kept wanting to play me the chapter. I literally cannot read it on my phone. So it's up here. It's insanely small, but we're going to try and sort through this. So in your bulletin are my notes, and the first one is Jesus prepares you for your pain. And sometimes we get blindsided. We got blindsided on 9/11. We got blindsided with COVID. We got blindsided by a lot of things in our personal life, but also as a country. God prepared us for that. Whether we can understand that or not, whether we're ready for that or not, he knew that this day was coming for us. Whatever that pain is in the future, in the past, he knows it. He's preparing us. So, now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus was now sick, was the same one who poured perfume on Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. When Jesus heard this, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. And then he said to his disciples, let us go back to Judea. But Rabbi, they said, a short while ago the Jews there tried to stone you, and yet you are going back. Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they will see by the world's light. It is when people walk in the night that they stumble, for they have no light. There's danger in the light. If they see him, they will kill him. But he knows that he's not talking about physical light, but he is. He's explaining to the disciples that he's already ready for this. There's nothing to be, he doesn't have to hide. He's already ready for what's about to happen. And I lost my place. Okay. After he had said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. Jesus' disciples replied, Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but the disciples thought he meant a natural sleep. So then he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go now to him. Then Thomas said to the rest of the disciples, let's also go that we may die with him. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find it in here. Okay, so there we go. So He's prepared for our pain. He's preparing us for our pain. Even if it doesn't feel like it, even if we don't know it, he knows. He knows what he's doing, and he's methodically thought out when he's leaving, how he's leaving. He's not sneaking in there. He's boldly going. And there's a lack of fear that I think the disciples misinterpret some things, and I see that in here, that his lack of fear isn't... Okay, we'll keep moving. Keep moving. Can we go to the next one, Jen? Okay. So, I don't know if it'll say it later or not, so I'm going to say it now. But where he was and where Lazarus was about 2 miles. Yep, 2 miles. Okay, there it is. Okay. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now, Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Mary and Martha to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lazarus was already dead. They went to Jesus 2 days before he got there. He waited 2 days. Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4. He was already dead. Their pain was already there. It was already happening. Jesus, if he had left right when they said to, he still wouldn't have made it in time. Their pain would have still been there, and he knew that. He wanted to make sure that the rest of us were able to catch that too. Is that? Okay. So, when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives in believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Again, they were ready, they just didn't know it. Okay, this is the big one. Okay. Yes, Lord, she replied. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who has come into the world. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but it was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house, comforting her, noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Where have you laid him? He asked. Come and see, Lord, they replied. Jesus wept. Okay, you guys have kids, know exactly what I'm talking about when I say, I would not have reacted this way. I'm not that person that would weep with you. If my kids are getting ready, I'm getting them ready to go somewhere and I'm not telling them where, and they start whining and moaning, oh, we're going to the zoo, get in the car. The surprise is over, I don't even want to talk about it. That is not how Jesus handles things, right? He knows that all that they're feeling, all that pain, all that agony, that something incredible is about to happen, and he's going to do it, and he's prepared them, and they're still not quite seeing it, and he's trying to tell them, and then he, instead of getting frustrated, instead of brushing past their pain, he joins them in it. And I'm telling you guys, when you go through moments of deep pain and you know that God's with you, he has to be, he's been with you through all these other things. You know he's there, but you can't see him. He's joining you. It's okay to be in that pain. It's okay to be in that moment. That he's not wishing you would brush it aside. He's not wishing you would just get over it. That he's joining you in that. He's weeping with you. And he put a verse in there that's 2 words so that we can remember that he will join us in our pain. He will join us in our joy. But man, even when he knows the good that's about to come, he will still take the time because he loves us so much. Then the rest of the Jews said, see how he loved him? But some of them said, could not he be who opened the eyes of the blind? man, have kept this man from dying. Jesus, once more, deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man, "by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" I said that kind of snotty. I guarantee Jesus didn't talk like that. Sorry. So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." Then he said this. Jesus called out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth surrounding his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." So, Jesus prepares us for our pain. And Jesus is present for our pain. He joins us in it. He is not intimidated by the things we're going through. He's not intimidated that he's prepared us for it and gotten us ready for it, and it still hurts. It's okay. But he also wants to help us pass through our pain. When we are in pain, as a country, as a family, as a person, that is not where we are meant to live. This is not going to be an easy world, but that is not God's purpose for us here, is to live in suffering. So if you guys are going through something, you're going through it. Don't stay there. Don't live there. God has so much compassion for what we're going through, and he wants to guide us through it. So it was actually Ken, when he and his wife were standing up here and her health was deteriorating, and he said, "There has never been an easier time to be a Christian." And that resonated so deeply with me, because it was easy. When you're shattered like that, you have to hang on to something. And I encourage you, if you've never grabbed a hold of God, do it. As you're going through things that are deep and that are painful and that you can't see your way out of, grab onto God. Just blindly grab onto him, because he's there and he wants to help you pass through this. So I love you guys. I have no authority to be saying any of this. I did not go to college. I did not go to nothing. I went to the School of Hard Knocks. And when I asked about doing this sermon the next day, there was a voice that hit me with this, "Who do you think you are to ask to speak?" And I spent the day dwelling on, who do I think I am? Because I know that thought wasn't from God. So who do I think I am? And I'm your sister, and I'm your friend, and you guys are my family, and I love you. And I am so grateful to be here with you. And thank you for letting me share. And you guys get to go to lunch a little early, it looks like. So have a great day. Let me pray. So the one was Jesus prepares for our pain. 2 was that he is present for our pain. And 3 was he helps us pass through our pain. All right, I'll pray, and you guys are welcome to head to whatever you're doing next. I thank you, Lord, for your love for us. I thank you that even when we experience devastation, that you have a plan and a purpose for that, Lord. And I thank you so much for weeping with us. I thank you for being there. I thank you for not brushing aside our pain, but joining us in it, Lord, and validating what we've been through. I thank you so much, God, that this world isn't just pain, but that when it does happen, we know we can count on you. We can grab a hold of your lifeline, and that you will hold us up. I thank you so much, Lord, for the opportunity to be here. I thank you for this family. I thank you for the strength and support that they have for each other. And I just pray, Lord, that they have a great week. We all have a great week. I pray for Tara's health. And I just pray that you lift her up. In Jesus' name, amen.